Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's no secret when I say Warzone is not in the best state ever right now. Basically, leading up to Caldera, Warzone was pretty bland, pretty monotonous, and pretty stale, right? Like, we didn't really have much going on in Season 6. We hadn't seen any major map changes. It wasn't until the very, very end where we saw downtown changed up quite a bit, where we saw the mines opened up for all of, 2 weeks max. Things were not looking great. We were all very excited for the launch of Caldera, a fresh new experience in Warzone, new weapons, all sorts of stuff like that. And really, ever since it launched, things have not been what they should be, I feel like, for a game that's been going on for this long, like Call of Duty. It seems weird. So today I wanted to talk about the overall state of Warzone and what things are going on here that just don't quite make sense to me. A little bit more of a laid-back commentary, and it's a different change of pace from usual, I guess we could say. But as we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new here, or if you're part of the just about 57% of viewers who have not already subscribed yet, we're getting super close to 800K. I would love to hit that before the end of the year. So if you want to stay up to date with absolutely everything going on in COD, from news to updates to loadouts to tips, it's all right here each and every single day. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. And also right now, Code Immortal is still boosted to 30% off everything on the G Fuel site, but only through the rest of this weekend. It'll stop on Tuesday morning, I believe. So if you want to grab anything in time for the holidays, Code Immortal has you covered. But that said, let's talk the state of Warzone. Now, as you guys know, if you watch the videos frequently, I don't really like to be all that negative here on the channel. I just don't like the negative vibes. They're not fun. It's a waste of energy. I like to be positive. I like to be upbeat. I like to be constructive, most importantly, when it comes to things, especially when we're talking about stuff like this, because flat out, when it comes down to it, today we're talking about how much of a mess Warzone really is. I got a list of things I want to run down here, all of which, just like I said at the start, don't really make all that much sense to me because of how this game should be after it's been out for so long, after they've released so many different Call of Duties. It just seems like things are not going in a path that they should be going on right now. So first up, let's talk the weapons. Prior to the whole Vanguard integration and the Pacific update and Caldera releasing, we all sort of just assumed that once this happened, the Vanguard weapons were going to just take over, right? Modern Warfare weapons would sort of be pushed to the side. Maybe a couple of them would still be usable, things that have been popular for a little while now. The CAR, the AMAX, maybe the Grau, the MP5, so on and so forth. But for the most part, it's a 3-year-old game at this point in the overall life cycle of Warzone. It's not the priority. Cold War would also no longer be the priority, so the EM2, the C58, the MAC-10, the MP5, so on and so forth, we'd see pretty severe nerfs to those, and slowly but surely, or maybe not so slowly but surely, the colder weapons would also sort of fall out of the meta, with only a few left to actually be semi-competitive, just like what we saw when Cold War was integrated and all those weapons immediately took over because they're trying to push their premium title sales. They want players to go and buy Cold War and play Cold War multiplayer. That's what the goal was there, and it was very apparent in gameplay. But it wasn't, I would say, after the DMR meta and everything like that, it wasn't absolutely game breaking, right? Like seasons 4, 5, 6 towards the end of there, we had a really solid meta. However, like I said, we all sort of expected that to get reset when Vanguard was integrated because they want to push the Vanguard sales, especially this year because Vanguard did not sell as well as some of the previous Call of Duties did, especially like digitally in the UK. I know the sales were down and whatnot. So I expected to jump in the Automaton, the BAR, the STG, the MP40, all these weapons would just be wildly overpowered. And when it comes down to it, they really weren't. Even now, a couple of days and a couple of patches removed from launch, they still really aren't all that incredible. And what I really don't get is they're nerfing more Vanguard weapons than they are old weapons. Yeah, we saw a couple of nerfs to the EM2's recoil, to the CAR and the Swiss's damage ranges and flinch resistance and whatnot, but they've done more to take the Automaton out of the meta and to nerf the MP40 and to, nerf other weapons from Vanguard than they have the older weapons, which to me seems entirely backwards. Like, they're not promoting the new game's weapons as much as they're trying to just keep things sort of like they were before, which is very strange to me. But also, they've gone out of their way now to nerf so many Vanguard weapons, it makes leveling up and grinding these weapons sort of obsolete. I couldn't tell you how many different comments I had when they nerfed the Automaton and just destroyed the recoil saying, Zach, I just spent the last 4 days grinding this out after work, and now it's unusable. Now it's not even worth it. And it's like, what is that? You're absolutely right. As a casual player, it's kind of a joke because it takes a millennium to level up these Vanguard weapons. The XP earn rate in Vanguard multiplayer in Warzone is so incredibly slow. For 70 weapon levels on every single primary, you get one gun done, you hope you can use it for a couple of weeks, but then they go ahead and they nerf it right away, and then the next day they nerf something else again. So it's just the weapon tuning and their approach to allowing players to level weapons faster just doesn't really make all that much sense to me so far, especially considering it's not even favoring the new Call of Duty. So that's one thing that I really just don't understand. The next thing, obviously, we got to talk about the gameplay experience. Now, if you're on PC, it hasn't been all that bad, at least for me. Now, for what it's worth, I have a very high-end PC, right? Like, I have to have the best stuff for the best gameplay and everything for you. So I don't expect to run into many issues, and I haven't, but that can't be said across the board. I've got friends that constantly run into dev errors, or their frames are skipping, or stuff like that. And then you got to take console into consideration, and this is what really does not make sense to me. The biggest player base for Call of Duty and for Warzone is console. PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. Let's be honest, it's pretty much the old gen because it's impossible to find a new gen console. That's their biggest player base, and that's the worst experience currently. Obviously, the entry barrier for console is way less than that of PC. You know, for PC, if you want a smooth experience, you got to spend $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 on a solid PC with a good graphics card to actually be able to run the game smoothly. Console, though, you know, you spend $300, $400, $500 unless you're paying the scalper prices, and you have your entry barrier there. That's why console player bases are so much more in numbers than PC. It's easier to get one. It's more simple. There's less of an entry barrier, like I said. Yet, there is the demon glitch where guns and characters spaz out, the menus hardly work, the game constantly crashes, Xbox Live guys can hardly play the game unless they do have Xbox Live and they have no issues with the whole goldflake error or whatever. These are literally game-breaking issues where they are playing on 10 FPS, they are lagging, things don't work correctly, like the game is borderline unplayable on console at times, and those issues have been there for days and days at this point, yet when we have all these other updates going out, they are fixing things that really aren't massive issues. Now, for what it's worth, I am incredibly ignorant to game design. I do not have a clue as to what goes into this, so perhaps I'm just wildly missing here with my assumption, but you have things like XP glitches where you could go and plunder and do the top secret contracts, and that give you a good amount of XP for your weapons. You could actually level up things in a decent amount of time. Earlier, I think yesterday it was, by the time this video goes up, there was an issue where you could go into plunder and pop a double XP token and it actually give you quad XP because the whole XP event. They disabled that almost immediately. So they're fixing these issues that semi-benefit players in certain ways, but all these issues that are making the game borderline unplayable are taking a very long time to fix. And you have certain things getting fixed with calling cards being bugged out, or, you know, a blueprint having something it's not supposed to have on it. Those get fixed very quickly, but the very pressing issues are seemingly not, I don't want to say they're not a priority because I fully believe they are, but the timetable and the turnaround on getting them fixed just doesn't seem like it is adequate for what it is. Like I said, I fully believe that these are priorities for them. Obviously, they want players on Xbox and players on PlayStation to be able to play the game and enjoy the new map that they just worked on very hard for months on end. But it just seems so weird when all these other things get fixed almost instantaneously, especially things that are very beneficial to players, yet the other things just don't get fixed all that quick. Like I said, very ignorant to the whole situation, so I don't really know what could be going on behind the scenes. I can't help but think, though, news came out a couple of, I want to say weeks ago, maybe like a week and a half ago, that a bunch of Raven QA testers were let go despite being promised more stability with pay and permanent work right before the holidays, right as they launched the single biggest update in Warzone history. Would this game be as broken as it is right now if all those people had jobs and instead of firing people, Activision was hiring people and being proactive instead of being silent and trying to basically shadow all these major issues going on at the company right now? Like, as an outsider looking in, it's very frustrating because it doesn't seem like they're doing the right thing ever. And keep in mind, I feel like part of the frustration here is more so at Activision rather than the devs, because I know for a fact from the devs that I've had the privilege to talk to in the past, these people care more about the game than anybody else. And because they're hands-on with the game every single day, I just have a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to why things are happening like they are at a time like this. Also, speaking of unanswered questions, one thing that I do feel like could potentially be left up to Raven here, I don't know, maybe they're being told not to say anything about it from Activision, is the lack of communication to the most highly requested and highly talked about things, specifically console FOV. This was something that we all thought should be a thing by this point, especially when we heard talk of Vanguard and Warzone sharing the same fundamental tech and back-end stuff with the same engine and whatnot. The engine, as far as we know, was slightly upgraded to, you know, allow for Ricochet to be implemented and for other small changes to be implemented as well. But no console FOV, no real acknowledgement of it other than the fact that Ted from Raven said that they were aware of the request for it. I can't help but think they're probably being silenced and told not to speak on that yet, but the fact that we don't have communication is, to me, just very backwards. I feel like it should be the other way around. If there's a delay with it, if there's fundamental problems with a console FOV slider, say that. At least say something, because that is better than saying nothing, right? So it seems very, very weird. Now, outside of some of the technical stuff and whatnot, I also wanted to talk about the state of gameplay on Caldera, because obviously they made quite a few changes to Warzone's gameplay when they added in the new map and removed Verdansk. Specifically when it comes to the pacing of the map and the pacing of every given match, I'm not super on board with it yet, primarily because of how loadouts work. Now, keep in mind, loadouts are what make Warzone unique and different from every other battle royale. All other battle royales, you jump in, you loot for weapons, you get some attachments, you go about your game. Warzone, though, is so dependent on loadouts because that's what makes gameplay. You get your own custom weapons, the ones that you grinded out camos for, the ones that you just spent a millennia leveling up in Vanguard, but now you're only guaranteed it once a game later into the match than before, unless you go ahead and buy some, which is not hard to buy a loadout because there's such an influx of cash on the map right now. It's easy to get the free one in Zone 2 at the start of that and then buy one as well, but after that, the pacing just seems to shut down immediately because everyone spends their money on the guaranteed fire sale. They all get selfs, they all spam UAVs, they're buying back teammates, whatever the case may be. And then you get to late game and there is no regain. There is no second loadout that gets you your weapons back. If you're lucky, you might get one, but it's by no means guaranteed anymore. And the lobby also dies off because of just how the rotations sit with so many open areas being there, with the forest being a little bit more camp heavy. And going back to the start of the match, everyone starts, they get a couple of ground loot weapons, they get their guaranteed cash, and then they sit and they wait for loadouts. And then they grab that, but if they die after that, there is no regain. Everyone is one and done basically, and because of that, I feel like that promotes everyone going after their ghost loadout right away so they can go and sit in the bushes and wait until end game, because if they die, that's it, that's GG. Casual players don't really have a huge chance to regain anymore because there's no cash. Everyone else has their loadouts if they didn't die yet. The whole pacing of the map just seems very, very weird with the loadout situation, with the guaranteed fire sale that means every single fight is full of self-revives, UAV spam, cluster spam. It doesn't feel like it did before, and not so much in a different but it's good way. It's a different but it's awkward way, I would say. So I hope that they do make some changes to the overall pacing of everything as well. But I think that's where I'll wrap things up for this. Just wanted to get a few things off my chest and obviously discuss what I think about the game. I wanted to give this some time in hopes that all these updates that they've been pushing out would fix some of these pressing issues, like console being borderline unplayable, maybe some communication about FOV, maybe some changes to weapon leveling. But after, I want to say, 4 updates in the last week, we haven't really seen any major improvements, and instead just more things being glitched and more things being bugged in game. So hopefully, if anyone from Raven or Activision is out there watching this, this can provide a positive impact on the game. Like I said, I like to try and keep it constructive and give my thoughts in a way that is hopefully not coming off as complaining, because I don't feel like that offers anything, but more so in a way that, hey, these are the things that would really be beneficial to hear about, to see some positive change in game, rather than constantly nerfing the things that might let little Timmy level up his STG in 2 hours instead of 9 hours, right? So that's going to wrap things up for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you can always stay up to date with everything. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.